That was Arthur Russell with Everybody, and that is the choice of my guest here today on New Year's Day, Richard Dawson. Thanks so much for coming in, Richard. How are you doing?
All right, yeah, a bit fried off the train journey I was just telling you about. There was a mammoth game of I Spy on the train, which was a little bit draining to those who weren't directly involved.
How long did the game last for?
A couple of hours.
Okay.
You know, apart from that, fine.
It was like extreme I Spy.
Yeah, no, it was a bit too much. Yeah. How are you doing?
I'm okay, thanks. Yeah, I'm very well. Listen, man, I'm a huge fan of your music, and so I just wanted to say thank you for it, and thank you for this record 2020 especially. I've been listening to it an awful lot. In fact, this probably must be the first official interview you're doing in 2020, right? About 2020.
That's correct.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for helping spread the word. I really want to get it out there, you know, and for people to hear it.
And can you tell me a little bit about writing it? How did it start, this sort of whole idea or concept for the record?
Yeah, the last few records have all been written as albums, and the music tends to make itself known kind of gradually. Things will start coming, you know. Tends to be when I'm finishing up one record, there'll be things already brewing, and then I get all the music ready for the whole record, and then I'd take a few months. Maybe with 2020 it was like, I don't know, 5 months maybe, just to write the words for it, just so then I've got more control over the kind of links between songs and repeating motifs or things like this. So yeah, it just, you know, it was going to be a different, like Peasant before it, the idea I had at the start, it turned out to be something completely different.
Yeah.
That was going to be like two albums intertwined, and eventually one album just evaporated and left what the record was. This one was just, don't know, it just came bit by bit, and felt, I've been talking a lot at the shows about this idea that I don't feel, more and more of the last few years, I feel like songs aren't written. They really just make themselves known, and then it's your job just to uncover them, you know, just get the brush and the scraper out and just try and uncover them best you can without chipping off any noses or fingers, or, you know. So you just try and stay out the way, I think, and let the people in the songs speak.
I've heard that a lot, songwriters saying that it's just being available to the song and letting it flow. Is that true then? That rings true?
It really does, yeah. I think it can sound like a kind of wishy-washy way of almost, maybe, at its worst, I think it would maybe be a way of putting off responsibility. But more and more it really feels, and this is going to sound crazy, but I've come to believe this, that it's like some form of life. When music appears fully formed, it feels like one facet of some kind of being, some ancient animal. And this is the feeling I have. And it used to be a poetic way to describe it, but now I actually think, no, this is alive. You know, it has a conscience, a consciousness.
Yeah.
And hopefully a conscious. Oh, I got myself mixed up. It's like I Spy games come back to haunt me then.
Well, should we have some music then? Will you play us a track?
I'll try. We'll see how this guitar does. There's new strings on, and there's been a cold day, so it's all over the shop today. But yeah, this is a song about a football game. I think it's a happy song in the end, and yeah, it's called Two Halves. perhaps we were expecting this to be a walk in the park. But these bastards from King's Priory are kicking lumps out of us. Man on, man on, an empty stadium yells. Man on, come on, come on. The cross goes sailing wildly over the heads. Their left back slips, taking every kick. It trickles over the mud straight to me. In desperation, he scrambles and slides. I leap the flailing leg and dink it over the sprawled body of the goalie. The net is gaping. The ball takes a bubble. I slice wide of the mark. Everything goes quiet, staring into the red dark of my palms. They launch a long ball into our box. Suddenly we find ourselves with a corner to defend. I am on the near post. Somehow it gets bundled underneath my feet. At the final whistle, I am inconsolable. Man on, man on. I reckon Daddy's really disappointed with me. Come on, he tries his best to not show how he really feels. In the car home, he says, dust yourself down, move on to next week's game. Shall we pick up a Chinese or would you rather fish and chips?
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much, Richard, for that.
Cheers.
I'm a dad of a football-obsessed 12-year-old. So there's
Okay.
a lot of truth in that song for me. But I especially love the tenderness at the end.
Yeah, I guess because at first you saw the dad seems to be not doing such a good job, maybe, but then we're all fallible, and then this is very nice at the end. I remember trips to get fish and chips. I was never a footballer, but just the feeling of having the fish and chips in your lap on the way home. It's like a slightly sick feeling in your lower belly and groin, but it was always like a special thing to hold the fish and chips and the Savoy.
Yeah, absolutely. When you write these songs, do people immediately assume that they have some autobiographical element to them when they talk to you about them?
Yeah, so I had a lot of emails after I did some interviews, and I had some emails from people who are really disappointed to discover that I really didn't like jogging, but really gutted to the point that they would write to me and sort of say, I loved that song. It meant a lot to me, and it was just a real blow to learn that you don't, which I found sort of interesting.
Yeah.
But not the album, none of the songs are autobiographical, and there's certain elements like the UFO sighting, me and Neil. This is a thing that happened to us. So that first half of the song is as it happened.
Right.
But the song's not about me. I've never been married or divorced, or I don't have a kid. But you can use things from your own life, but it still doesn't make it about you. We're all going through the same things, and
absolutely, and that's what gives the record such a beautiful universal feel to it, I think. And It feels, non-judgmental about all of these people and their lives and how they're getting through them.
I hope so. I know there was some certain songs that are very, I find quite hard. Certain like outlooks that the characters have that aren't my own. But I hope that the record itself is a very open thing.
It certainly feels that way to the listener, which is me.
Six Music.
Holly Herndon, Frontier. That was another choice of Richard Dawson. That was from last year, from Proto. She's amazing, isn't she?
It's absolutely incredible. I mean, that record is just
wild, isn't it?
It's beyond. Yeah, I think it's a masterpiece. Not to I don't like to overstate. I do like to overstate things, but it really is. It just brings together so many different musics. But like maybe when you draw from world music, it can be a bit naff often. But this just brings something new to those elements, and then manages to make a whole composition out of all these disparate things.
It's a big, wild, kind of bold sound, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, a friend of mine is a massive fan of yours, right? And I told him you were coming on the show, and he said, can you ask him about his journey towards unusual tunings is similar to Joni Mitchell's, hers attributed to the effects of childhood polio, reducing flexibility in her hands. Richard's due to an injured finger before a series of early gigs. Is that true?
It is true, but I think it hardly compares to the polio. I broke my little finger wrestling outside of a pub at 4 a.m, you know what I mean? And so I got this, I had it in a splint for a few weeks. When they took off the splint, it was still shattered, the 2 knuckles in it, so I had to get a Suzuki frame, they call it.
Okay.
This great big piece of metal that comes sticking out. And I had more gigs than I'd ever had in my life booked for those kind of couple of months, and I was devastated, so I had to put it in an open tuning so I could just play 4 or 5 songs, just learn them in very basic sort of, this tuning here. I ended up writing some songs in that tuning, and then I couldn't go back because I had a full set. And so it was a very lucky thing, though at the time it seemed, I was so devastated. I thought it was the end, My finger is still points in the wrong direction, but I could reach further with it now.
But it's sometimes, I suppose, if you're given an impediment or an obstacle, that makes you kind of reinvent things a little bit, or makes you a little bit more creative, I suppose.
Sure, I think, a framework is helpful and limitations, so, because otherwise, where do you stop?
Yeah.
So this was very painful at the time, but turned out well.
How long ago was that then?
Maybe I was like 23, 24, something like this.
So it really informed your playing then?
Yeah, it changed everything. I think I didn't really know what I was doing, and when I had this kind of, how can I say, like a rebirth, 27, like a big trauma, and then emerging out of this, then I had this batch of songs to help come back into the world, all in this tuning. Because this wrestling outside the pub was a product of the chaos I was in, and so this is what I hear in this tune. It's like a reminder not to look after myself a bit better.
Good. You should.
Yeah.
We all should.
If you hear me playing in standard tuning, then you know something's
wrong.
Up. Yeah.
Sure, will you give us another tune?
I'd love to, yeah. It's called Heart Emoji, and I really like the language of emojis and all this new stuff. And so if ever you discover you have a long-lost relative, and instead of writing them a letter or going to see them, you can just send like a big turd with eyes. This is how we communicate now. So this is not turd emoji, but heart emoji. That one's on the next album. Classic FM in my earbuds, awake with an achy tooth. I see a spider silhouetted on the dresser, caught in the glow of a text. Who in the hell would be messaging you at 3 bloody o'clock in the morning? screen of your mobile goes dark before I can draw focus. You're snoring like a pig. I creep around the bed and key in your passcode. How adored the state of birth to have all my fears confirmed with a heart emoji, a heart emoji, and the words I miss you too. We were assistant bar managers at the Carling Academy, paying for our degrees, serving piss to the hordes on a seemingly never-ending loop. I hadn't been working there very long. You were giving me a bollocking for pouring a Guinness wrong. When the announcement came over the PA to evacuate the building, huddled under your parka in the doorway of cash converters, you had the cheek to ask me on a date. I said I'd not consider it until you apologize, 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 I mean it. I got the carving knife from the dishwasher to stick through your heart. I take a backward step to feel the touch of something cold and wet, and to my horror, to my horror, there's a slug squash between my toes.
That's mighty stuff.
Cheers,
Thanks,
thank
man.
you.
Thanks so much. I wanted to ask you, since it is New Year's Day, what are your plans for 2020? What have you got coming up, lined up?
Lots of gigs.
Great.
Like I didn't do so many gigs around Peasant because I was feeling sort of a bit burnt out, I think, and not so well maybe. I feel quite reasonably, comparatively strong. So I'm going to get out there and do as many gigs as I can
Great.
for the first half of the year. And then I'm working with this incredible, my favourite band, Circle, a Finnish, I don't know what genre they were described as the best band in all genres.
Wow.
By themselves. But they're a really, really incredible band who I'm working on a record with, and we're working on a Hennegleth record just now. We've recorded it, so we're just mixing that. So just full of music, I think, is the plan, and just try and get this out there as much as I can whilst I'm sort of in it.
Well, it's definitely an album for 2020. It's called 2020, and everyone should listen to it. It's a really serious piece of work. I can't thank you enough for coming on the show. It's been a pleasure.
Cheers, pal. Thanks for helping spread the word.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Happy New Year. Mind yourself.